my lifestyle. It's my lifestyle.
What a start. Welcome back to The Ground True, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Josh Gerson, back as always with my co-host.
What's up, guys? Billy.
And Dennis is here too. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe, toss us a review, follow us on all social platforms. They will be listed below. A couple things to cover before we get into baseball. We're having a moment of silence for Trevor May's cat, Donnie No Thumbs. He passed away yesterday.
Shout out to a legend.
It's unfortunate. Thank you. And one more thing before we get into baseball. Does everyone have a drink nearby?
Yeah.
I'd like to raise a toast to Dennis Dietz, his first professional softball home run.
Oh, my God.
A whopping 330 feet. To Dennis.
Dietz, how did it feel, man? This is news to me. I'm finding this out on the show.
The Rangers were up 1-0, and then I hit the home run, and then the Rangers blew it, and they lost 2-1 in overtime. So I would trade the home run. I would rather strike out every single at-bat.
So what you're telling every Rangers fan is that you're the reason they lost?
Yes, it is all my fault.
So do you have
to stop? Do you
have to stop being a fan of the team now because it's clear that you're a curse for them?
No, I have to stop playing softball.
I don't know. I've heard about you having other things that when you do them, people lose. So it might be that if you're a fan of the team, they're just inherently going to be bad. So maybe you should be a fan of other teams. Maybe you should be like a Red Sox fan. Yankees will win. Things will be great. Deep down, maybe you'll be happy. I don't know.
I will never be happy deep down. Let's be
maybe
real.
Darkness.
This soils a great moment for the kid though.
Yeah,
like
no,
he hits a home run.
I mean, in typical Dennis Dietz fashion, just goes right for the negativity, and that's it's just what we have to work with Dennis.
Challenging.
It's okay.
Challenging.
Now on to baseball, guys.
Got as many home runs as Jeff McNeil though.
Facts.
I have more than Dom Smith too.
Darkness.
Look at you.
And Marcus Semien still. Does he have any home runs yet?
Nope.
Darkness. Okay, cool. On to baseball. Sorta. Guys, this week, we always talk about the worst first pitches in history. And Steve Aoki was out there at the Red Sox game this week, and he threw out the first pitch. And by God, it was awful.
So this is actually an improvement for him.
Yes, apparently.
Because he's been spiking it into the grounds the last couple of times, and he got some advice, aim higher and let it rip.
Yep.
Now, I'll say this. Of all of the misses I've ever seen, I'd rather you, absolutely toss it over the dude's head like he did, almost launch it out of the stadium, than look like you can't throw it all, and it's like
Facts.
50 cents
The
was
50
way
Cent,
worse.
the Conor McGregor, those are...
Yeah, so I'm here for Steve Aoki actually did the right thing. He missed, but missed with oomph. Don't miss passively.
Yep.
Now,
I don't know, did you see the Red Sox TikTok about this?
I may have.
Because I could see a world where this was also rigged. Because he got advice from Matt Barnes, like, hey, throw...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
High. Yeah.
Aim high and let it rip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe that was just for the content.
No, I think he because he said to him, I've spiked it. I've done this before, and I've thrown it into the dirt. He's like, aim high, let it rip. And I don't think that they thought he had an arm on him at all.
But
so, like, if you tell him aim high and you say let it rip, and he throws it and he's got a noodly arm, it's going to, airmail to him.
Right.
Because you're like, okay, maybe he really just can't throw it all. But then all of a sudden he uncorks.
But so that's my
sauce.
biggest problem with, the fact that he was having trouble throwing to begin with. Are you aware of his, shtick as a DJ? When he's at a club, he throws cakes by the dozens. Full-blown 2x2 sheet cakes at people.
Okay.
Smashing them.
Hums them. So I'm like, how is he not able to throw a baseball at, just 60 feet? And I know Corey's going to pop some cake montage in here because he's a stud like that. But I was just kind of confused on how it was just so off the mark or how he was struggling at all. But it was hilarious. I also agree with you that it doesn't rank as the worst for me because he did, put some velo on it. And, yeah, it wasn't accurate, but I'd still rather that than 50 Cent or Conor McGregor.
Yeah. I will say this also. Steve Aoki's going viral on YouTube. He has it on his channel.
For his pitch?
Yeah.
Oh, love that.
He signs the first pitch ball and gave it to a fan.
Oh, epic.
Like TMZ's got stuff reported. So it's possible that this was an intentional thing because it seems like there is a lot of content surrounding it.
Glorious. It's what baseball needs. Steve Aoki's the answer.
But also,
There it
when
is.
I watch him throw, it wasn't intentional. That's how he throws.
Okay. Maybe.
I've actually found his 2015 first pitch with the Dodgers.
Maybe he's just used to throwing cakes. Maybe that's what it is. Here comes the young king.
So, like, this is what he had, like, the mental block on, right? Like, this is where he's like, what do I do? I'm just going to throw it. Yeah, everything will go great. See his cake? He's got his cake.
There you go.
He's doing his thing. It looks like a baseball. This is going slower than I'd want it to go. He's doing a whole photo shoot. Okay, here we go. We're out here now.
Let's see. That's not
You know
that
what?
bad. It's not that bad.
I also give respect for the fact that he
Was
stood
that
on
one
the
the
rubber.
cake?
Oh, I don't know. I should just throw a 90-mile-an-hour cake here.
So that first one was
First one's a
definitely the cake.
Well, they came
He
out
threw
the
the
same.
cake. He threw the cake better than he threw the baseball.
That's what it is.
But he spiked it both times. It didn't make it to its mark.
Yeah.
I think he was like
He's just hands a little tight, little nervous.
He just aimed a little bit too high.
I guess so. Moving on to people who do have some accuracy. The Pirates and Reds played this week, and something amazing happened.
Amazing or horrible?
Horrible. I mean, in a game where the two worst teams are playing each other, it's an even playing field. And Hunter Greene and Jose Quintana on the mound both pitched gems, neither allowing any runs. Both going at least 7. Hunter Greene had a no-hitter into the 8th before he was pulled. And the Reds ended up completing the no-hitter and losing the game. The relievers in the 8th walked in a run, and the Pirates ended up winning 1-0 without recording a hit.
Yeah, that I still stand by. That's terrible.
Yeah, no, it's pretty
That's
bad.
just like all of the futility mixed into one game. Like both teams showcasing that, yeah, we have guys who can pitch at this level, but we don't have a single person on either team who's like a truly respectable hitter. Like that's rough.
Yep.
That's rough.
Now, granted, Hunter Greene throws 100, and we project him to be Rookie of the Year. Great player.
But we're talking he has a no hitter, right? Like he's a no hitter, and then you look at the both sides again. I'm saying that the pitchers can pitch, but this is you got to have better even prospects in your pipeline than this, don't you? Like this is getting silly with some of these teams at the MLB level.
Well, we've discussed it in length that the Reds are, I guess, and the Pirates too. Although I feel like they have at least a few more guys that are have some type of future, but like the Reds are just scary bad.
You know who else has been surprisingly bad?
Who's that?
The Cubs.
Yeah. I kind of thought they would be a little bit more competitive. Where are they at in the NL Central right now? In 4th, 8 games back, 6-4 in their last 10 though. But yeah, overall,
15-21 overall.
yeah.
Right? Like after Suzuki was hot to start, he's been fine.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson Contreras hasn't necessarily been, anything special. They got Jonathan Villar started for them yesterday. Former Mets legend. But we talked about the Mets. Like, why are you having a guy like Villar actually starting games and playing consistently for you? Like, if you're at that point, you got to have a young guy somewhere that you can give a shot. He's a 31, 32-year-old guy who is going to bat 230. Like, it's just I don't even get teams putting this together.
Yeah, and Stroman, they're a big signing with a 5.13 ERA currently.
Well, listen, I think Marcus is a good pitcher. I think he looks at himself as an ace, and he's definitely not that. I think he looks at himself as a superstar, and he's definitely not that. There's a reason why the deal he got was not anything. He signed a similar deal to a guy like Steven Matz. Like, cool. Like, you're doing great. But the hype is just not matched what he actually produces.
Yep.
And we'll see. He's hurt now. I think he's still in the 10-day IL.
Oh, is he?
So he hasn't even pitched in a while. So
Good. Just what you want to see out of your big
your
signing.
big signing.
In other people who are cold, before we get to the hot and cold, the Red Sox have just been abysmal, and this week they tied a major league record by giving 5 home runs up in 1 inning. That was Nathan Eovaldi who allowed that to happen. And the Red Sox have just been. It's frustrating because I know that their team is better than this. Like,
is it though?
Like talent-wise, yes. It's just no one is performing. Like Eovaldi's supposed to be their ace, really, with Sale out still. Trevor Story, big signing, not doing anything. Xander Bogaerts is probably the only person who's really been hammering it, and he's trying to get his money just like Aaron Judge. Can you pull up Bogaerts' stats for me?
I could do that.
Appreciate you. But it's I wanted them to be more competitive in the East, and it's really just been the Yankees and then kind of the Blue Jays.
No, I think you gotta look at that division a little bit differently than it's just the Yankees, because I don't think that's a fair representation of the division.
Yeah,
you have 3 teams who have 20 wins, right? So let's just even go by it. In the AL Central, only 1 team has 20. In the AL West, 2 teams have 20, right? So you have 3 teams in the American League East with 20-plus wins. You go to the National League, NL East, only 1 team has 20 wins. NL Central, 2 teams. NL West is the only other division that's even remotely in that category. They have 3. So you're saying that right now the AL East and the NL West are comparable in terms of the performance of the teams. And when you look at that, it's the same situation. Someone has to lose games.
Yep.
Like you're let's use this as a case study. What's going to happen in the AFC West this year, right? In the NFL, you've got Russell Wilson moving to the Broncos. Oakland Raiders look like they're going to be good, bringing in Devontae Adams. Huh?
Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders. My fault. You have Chargers and you have the Chiefs. All 4 of those teams, if you said to me, hey, you know what? They surprised and they made it to the AFC Championship game. You could be talking about any of those 4 teams. But the reality is, one of them is going to end up 4th because they're going to lose games in division. And then there are other good teams they'll play, and they're going to disappoint. And you're going to look at them and be like, damn, in this world, somebody has to be that team. It just right now, it's been the Red Sox.
Yep.
Which Xander Bogaerts, you wanted his stats. He's batting .336. He has an .877 OPS, 4 home runs on the season so far.
So he's been great.
Tearing it up.
I stand by. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The Yankees have been absolutely incredible. But this is the easiest part of the Yankee schedule for the entirety of the year.
That was I think that's why I'm kind of like, because they have strung together so many wins, and then as soon as I said that the Yankees were the team, I pulled up all their records. I'm like, all right, damn. But like,
yeah, like they just had a 3-game stretch against the Royals, and then their first game out of the Royals, they have this super ultra competitive game against the Orioles, where they win 10-5.
Yep.
And Orioles aren't really like trying to put out a team that's competitive. They take 2 out of 3 against the Blue Jays, but again, you look at the same situation. The game where they won 9-1, the other 2 games, 2-1, 3-2. You're neck and neck with that team. At some point in time, these games start to shift against you. They went against the Rangers again. They won by 1. They won by 1 in another one, and they lost by 2. All tight games. These things could start to swing, but the Rangers are 11-16 when they played them, right? So like you start to unpack who they're actually going against.
Well, when they got to the White Sox, they actually had been hot, and they laid them down 15-7, 10-4, and then it was one tight game. But then they got that White Sox again coming up, then the Orioles again, and then they run into the Rays and the Angels. So I think those games are going to be a little bit more competitive, a little more challenging for them. Then they go Tigers, Twins. They a couple weeks from now. Actually, no, it's more like a month from now. They have like the Pirates and Reds back to back, which is going to be a nice little breather for them.
Yeah.
But overall, yes, they have been incredible. Their pitching has continued to be solid. We were talking about it earlier. Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, just absolutely crushing.
Yep.
So cool, good for them. I saw them definitely. They're ranked again as the number 1 team in baseball, which rightfully so. They've been killing it. I think for me, what I'm most curious about is for the length of the season is where do Stanton and Judge cool off, even out,
Well,
or do they?
Continuing on with Judge and Stanton.
Yeah.
They have been absolutely tearing it up for them.
Yep.
Especially, like, Judge has done it all season long, but Stanton has started to really come around where he's delivered some big hits. It was super funny. Again, it reminds me of, friend of the brand, Jackson Olsen in his game. He was playing at Stetson, and somebody yelled out, "Stick to TikTok," while he was playing, and he crushed a home run. Somebody was saying the same thing, chirping, and you hear it on the mic picks it up. Stanton, you're overrated. And he crushes an opposite field home run. And it's like, might be overrated, but he's still pretty damn good.
Yep.
What are their stats, Dennis?
I'm actually trying to pull up their May stuff right now, but if you want their full season stats, just for right
Give me a
this
full
second.
season.
Aaron Judge, 14 home runs, 306 batting average, 1045 OPS. Giancarlo Stanton, on the season, he is batting 288. He has 10 home runs and an 869 OPS.
Like,
In the month of May, though, Giancarlo has a 315 batting average with a 1072 OPS.
like that's what's
Beast.
really tearing it up for them right now.
Yep.
Judge. So now that we've gotten to back this away, I thought about this the other day with his contract. What do you think if he gets the MVP and he has 1,000 plus 1,100 plus 1,100 ish OPS this season?
Yeah.
Which in the month of May, he's over 1,100.
Right. And I mean, he's batting 306. This is going to be the best season of his career. He's on pace for 100 home runs. What is his contract? Because I know what I would offer.
What did they offer him first?
Bag of sand. 7 years, I think.
It was
Like
like 210,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. I don't even know. It ended up working out that the whole average salary was like 7 years, $28 million a year.
230. It was 7,230.
7 years, 230, but it was an
So
extension.
7 years, 213 was the extension. Which
Right.
which would make the entirety 230.
Right. And that was with the fact that he would have the discount of 1 year.
Right.
It works out to about $28 million a year. That contract would have paid him, it's a little bit more than $30 million a year. Man, do you think that Stanton could sign a 5-year, $200 million deal?
Now? Or when?
If he has the season he's having.
You mean
right?
Judge?
That's my bad.
Yeah.
If you have Judge in that situation where he is the MVP,
Yep.
1,100 OPS, shows that his bat is one of the more premium bats, because it's always been an idea, like he's got that Pete Alonso-ishness to him. He's got a better batting average, like he's a better bat to like ball guy than Pete.
Yep.
But he's always been the same thing, like it's power.
Right.
It's just about the power. Everything else is secondary. Right now, he looks like he's got all of the pieces. Like he's a superstar hitter.
Yep.
If he's a superstar hitter like this, would you pay him $40 million a year for the next 5 years? Because I have a hard time thinking that a guy
For 5 years, you said?
5 years.
Because I think that is the question, is like, because I think he wants the long deal, and I don't think that's why the Yankees wanted it to be less if they were going to do the longer deal. I think that was kind of the...
But I'm already... Hey, listen, I'm giving you the bag. I'm giving you the bag heavy. You're the highest paid player in the league, sans Mike Trout. Like nobody's paid more money than you. You've got that's a better overall deal, I would say, than even a guy like Scherzer got. Like Scherzer's getting $43 million a year, but it was a 3-year deal.
How old's Judge?
Judge 31, 32?
31.
So if you really are a masher and you're going to have it late in your career, you're going to get another bag.
So you want 5 years, 200?
5 years, 200, and he gets $40 million a year. Because then all I'm really doing is I'm front loading a contract.
Yeah.
And if you still are good and want to play, somebody will sign you to be a DH at 36 and pay you $20 million for your age 36 season. How old is Nelson Cruz?
42.
How much is
Jinx.
Nelson? How much is Nelson making?
17, I think.
So like, think about that, right? If you can continue to hit like that, I'll give you you're super overpaid right now, and then we'll just have a reconversation about we'll sign an extension at some point in time. We'll shrink your money down. We'll do like they did to Jeter. Jeter got that $20 million a year gift one that was like a golden parachute for him. Hey, we know you're gonna suck, but we'll pay you $100 million for the next 5 years to be a statue that plays in the field. And it was worth it for them. I think that makes Judge happy. You don't commit to him long term with money. But I would have to think that next year he's not going to fall so precipitously off that for the next even 3 years he's not one of the best hitters in the game.
So it's interesting. The Stanton's contract ends in 6 years.
Yes.
So would you have them coincide and then just
They would
figure out?
both be ending at the same time.
Right. So then would you at that point we just see who's playing better and then just give them the DH contract?
Sure.
So then call it 6 years for Judges?
I still wouldn't give him 6.
Okay.
I do 5.
I think Judge just wants a longer term deal rather than have like the higher AOV on his deal.
I know he got 7 years. He turned down 7 years because it wasn't enough. So like my thing is if he's asking for one of those 10-year contracts, he's never going to get it.
Yeah.
Right? So like I think he has to come to the table with, all right, I'm not going to get a 7-year deal that's going to pay me $30 million a year, right? Because if I start looking at it, that's not what I'm going to get. But what does that actually end up being? That's the same amount of money I'm offering you for 5 years.
Well, what if he? I mean, I think the years are definitely important to him.
Right? Because 5 years at 40 is 200.
Yeah.
7 years at 30 is 210.
Right.
I'm giving you $10 million less, but in 2 less years.
And then you can make that up easily in those other 2 years.
But I'm also, because I'm paying you so much more money per year, you're getting all of your money today, right? Like you're not having to wait to get it. Because again, look at New York, look at everything else. 50% of his money is going to get taken in taxes. You're making $15 million a year versus you're making 20. Like I'm going to feed you $5 million post-tax more for those 5 years than you would make on the other deal. Somebody's going to throw something stupid at him. But I don't think I or anybody else in the league should still be going down the route of a guy like him. Let's give him a 10-year deal.
I think they stick with the 7.
Okay.
Because that would also take them 1 year beyond Stanton's free agency. I think they up the money and then front load it.
And then have it be a descending contract?
Yeah.
I could see that too.
I like, because that way, I mean, at that point, if Judge gets to the end of his deal and he's injured or not producing or whatever, they don't hate it as much because then they still have like the optics of we signed him long term and he's the face of the franchise and thumbs up.
Yeah, but you know what? The thing I think is still just crazy about all that stuff is even if you descend the contract, I have you on my books and I have you on a roster spot that I can't move you off of, because even if I descend the contract, you're making $20+ million.
Well, so what did you said 5 years?
5 years.
At 40?
Yep. He'd
So
be 36.
okay, so they call the first 5 years are at 40. And then let's say it's what did they
You'd have
offer?
to go down 30 and then you'd have to go down 20.
Yeah.
And that would take $30 million a year off from the last 2
Right.
years, right? So you'd pay an average across those 2 years of $25 million.
Right.
So you would have gone from 40 to 25. He'd make an extra 50 above what I said. So it's a 7-year, $250 million deal.
Well, so what would you pay for, like, let's say for funsies that Judge is a good hitter still, if not a fielder,
'Cause
anymore,
that's
at the end of his career.
That's my point. Judge wouldn't do that deal. And
Okay.
Judge's agent won't do that deal. Because in their minds, they're selling a bag of goods that he's going to be a great hitter until he's in his 40s.
Right.
So why would I accept now guaranteed descended contract? Unless it was a player option, which then that opens up the opportunity.
I can see that.
If you don't love it, you can walk out of it after the 5 years and you can move on. For us, we cover ourselves that, you know, if you do accept it, it diminishes to a substantial degree. That gives both sides a little bit of what they want. That's a little bit of that negotiation. But you also got to remember, Judge is going to be a complete free agent. It does not matter what the Yankees want to say. He's going to get somebody else who's going to offer him a contract, and the Yankees are going to have to outpay that other team.
I think we're overthinking this, actually.
Hit me.
He's going to want something similar to what Stanton's contract is.
I think he wants more than Stanton's.
Maybe, but at minimum, he's going to ask for the entirety of his contract was $280.
Yeah, but you can't. That was a 12-year deal.
Yes, but I'm saying, and then coming down for the yearlies, right? Like the next 3 years, Stanton's going to make 32.
Yeah.
The last 3, he goes 29, 25, 25.
Yeah.
That's probably what he's going to ask for, if I had to guess. Because that's not that much of a descent. That's not 10 million, 10 million.
But here's the economy he's walking into. What is Freddie Freeman's deal that he just signed? Right? Because the assumption was that Freddie was a declining 32-year-old superstar first baseman. Right? That's what the Braves were banking on. Mm-hmm. We have a declining superstar who's 32 years old, and we're not going to give him the bag. And the Dodgers were like, cool, we'll give him the bag. And what was his deal for?
160? 5 years, 160, maybe?
What?
I have something else up. Hold on, I'll pull it up.
So if we can find out what Freddie's is, because I think that
I'm like semi-confident.
My point to you is, who's a better hitter, Judge or Freeman?
Probably Freddie.
Do we actually think that?
It is 6 years, 160. I mean, probably overall, he has comparable power, and then he hits for average.
I don't think he has comparable power to Judge.
No, Judge has completely
power. In terms of numbers,
yeah.
Freddie's put up 30.
Yeah, but we're talking about Judge putting up 40s.
So one thing I want to bring up, just as like an idea, if they do go with more money for the 5-year deal, is David Ortiz. The last couple of years of his career, he was signing 1-2-year deals constantly, and he was getting his money, and he was still performing. I could picture that being something that Judge can easily do, get $20-25 million on 1-year deals as long as he keeps hitting home runs, and he could be a good DH, because Ortiz was 40 years old and still getting paid $16+ million.
Freddie hit 38 1 year.
Right, so Freddie's best year is going to be worse than...
Fine, maybe he's not an all-around power hitter, but like his career average is 296. He had a 341 in 2020,
right,
300 last year.
But hear me on this, right? We're looking at the 2020 season that was shortened.
Sure, fine, but like
is his best year when he had an 11.02.
2018, 309, 2017, 307.
Pull that to me gets pulled out. Freddie Freeman, 2018, 892, OPS, 938, 1102 in 2020, 896 in 2021. He's at a 901 right now. When you comp that number out against Judge, and we go back to 2018 Judge, 919, 2019, 921, 2020, which again, the shortened year, 891. Last year, 916, this year, 1,045. So if we throw out the year of 2020 as the only thing, because it's a weird year in terms of what everything was, Judge has a higher OPS by almost 35 points in that time. And if Judge has got a higher OPS by almost 30 points, better hitter. So he's going to want to get...
What did he have in 2019?
2019, 921. 2018, 919. 2021, 916.
I'm
this
standing
year,
by
1,045.
I'm standing by their comparable players.
Well, so again,
he has
like,
1,000 right now.
Sure, and Freddie's at a 901 right now.
Right,
which would be one of his best OPSs.
But batting 312.
Yeah, and Judge is batting 306.
Great, so
my
player.
point is that I think that it's a bigger power hitter in Judge.
Yes,
and power is more premium.
For the Yankees,
pay more
absolutely.
money. No, for every team in baseball. Tell me the lighter hitting guy gets more money ever. Name me the.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that.
No, I'm saying name me the moment ever in the history of a contract.
Probably
it doesn't
nobody.
happen.
Sure.
So Judge is a bigger power hitter. He's going to comp out for more money.
Yep.
So you said 160.
Yep.
What's that per year?
Where did I look it up?
That's 26 and change million a year.
Okay.
I just don't know if Judge will even remotely do that. I think he's willing to gamble on somebody's going to give him more money than that.
That's what I'm saying. He's not asking for Freddie. He's asking for Giancarlo money. And how old's Judge? 31?
31.
So
he'll be a 32-year-old free agent.
So he's going to be the same age as Stanton is right now.
And he'll be the same age that Freddie Freeman was when Freddie was a free agent.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. The way that, because he has a teammate who is literally like doing the same thing as him, pretty much like they are the same player. He's gonna comp himself.
I think he's gonna want to go above that, and that's why I'm saying.
Right, but I don't know if he'll get that from the Yankees, because that would mean he's asking for 35.
That's why I'm
40?
saying $40 million on a 5-year deal. Somebody's gonna pop off that they'll give him more money.
But then, do the Yankees turn around and say, "Well, we're already paying a
They
guy
can't.
who does
the Yankees can't afford it. It's not a function. This is not a function of the Yankees have to make a decision if he's worth it. The Yankees can't afford it.
It's imagine if they just want to
The
take
Yankees are a mid-tier franchise in terms of free agency. They are not a top-tier franchise. They are not one of the top 5 buyers in the market any longer. That is not who they are. When's the last time they acted like a top 5 franchise in terms of market?
Garrett Cole.
That wasn't. That's their only pitcher that they pay.
But that's like how often, other than the Rangers, did someone spend like almost $500 million in free agents?
And it worked so well for them.
Mid-tier free agents. The Toronto's got more money than they do. Toronto just outspent them. So they're not in the Toronto category. So you can't put them in Toronto. You can't put them with the Mets in terms of what the Mets are paying. You can't put them with the Dodgers in terms of what the Dodgers are paying. They're getting pushed out of being a top 5 franchise financially. They will not just spend their way to infinity. What's the last hitter that they brought in that was a lot of money? They just discount shopped to bring in Donaldson and Rizzo, and those guys are like, hey, good players.
I guess Stanton, but they didn't even make his contract.
Stanton, they traded for it.
Yeah.
And they traded for Stanton not knowing who Judge really was. If they could go back in time and they could
didn't they get Giancarlo Judge's rookie year?
Right, but you don't Judge having a great rookie year isn't Judge is going to be this
right,
every
but I'm sure they
year.
felt really smart when that happened because I think Stanton was MVP that year.
For sure, and that's the bigger thing is that they got Stanton coming off the MVP where he had 52 home runs.
That I think, and that's the challenge that I think Yankee fans are going to have to come to grips with is that they have a copy of Judge on the team already that's already getting paid a reasonable amount of money.
Yep.
Economically, you probably shouldn't sign Judge. Which is an unfortunate fact.
We've been talking about this now on this show for over a year. They would have been better. And this is the other reason why I think Freddie's contract is lower. And they would have been better to do this last year. The lockout. We forget that existed, right? Like, the only reason he was caught in a bubble of not getting as much money is because he didn't have all that time to negotiate and go and walk around and find it. It was fast action, get signs, do stuff. Was he maybe going to go back to the Braves? And, he had to make a decision, and he took the money that he did. Judge is going to walk into this. New CBA, more money coming down the pipeline, more stuff. Nah, guys, you got to pay me not today's dollars.
MVP year.
You can't pay me today's dollars. You got to pay me what this CBA is going to bring to you guys and bring to us in the next 2 years.
Yep.
And I know the salary cap's going up another $25-30 million over the next 2 years. I want all that money on my pocket. Pay me. That's why you're going to see Ohtani get a $40 million deal. I'm down on him getting a $50 million deal.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm down on him getting a $50 million deal. Economically, and this isn't because of he's just
it's
under...
just because it's a ceiling?
It's just under an 800 OPS that he's hitting right now. His bat could absolutely warm up. He is a top 20 pitcher.
Yep. Absolutely.
But and that's what makes him MVP quality. But, the magic would have to re-spark for me to say you can pay him 50.
Yeah, that's fair.
But the flip side of it is, the only other thing he does, that man makes money off the field for your team.
Oh, I'm sure.
The Angels got to be caking cash right now, more than they ever did with just Trout. Because you now have an international thing. Like, every Japanese fan in the world is hyped. Like, the dude is that guy.
100%.
So, again, we'll see with all of that. But the Yankees are riding that horse to glory right this second.
And I remember on our selection show, for me, I picked Ohtani as the MVP with the contingency that it was him until it was somebody else. If he fell off, which he kind of has a little bit, and that's why I'm down for it to be Judge or somebody else, because he isn't the same impact at this second. He could obviously heat up, but
last night he topped out 101 miles an hour.
I'm sure he did. He's an absolute freak of nature.
He's so.
I got into an argument on TikTok with someone trying to discredit Ohtani as being and what he does is incredible. And I was like, stop. You're not like actually thinking about this. You're just saying ridiculousness.
You're out.
Speaking of saying ridiculousness, Matt Harvey got a 60-game suspension for violating the league's drug policy after the trial with regarding Tyler Skaggs passing. What are your thoughts on that? Because I saw Trevor Bauer had some thoughts.
So I didn't see. So I have not seen Bauer's reaction. So I'm going to give you mine before you tell me what Bauer's reaction is. That's too light of a suspension. That's way too light of a suspension.
Like, it wasn't just him taking; it was him helping distribute.
And it also permeates that a person died from it. Mm-hmm. And I don't blame Matt Harvey for his death.
Yep.
But he contributed to the course of actions that led there.
Absolutely.
And he himself derailed his career for this drug problem, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has heard now drug problems when he was a Met, right? The partying, the going out, the thinking that you're the Dark Knight, and everything that was that whole thing. So I think he got off light. I think he should be suspended for at least the whole year. I think he should be out. It's a black eye for baseball. I don't think that Harvey should be able to stay, especially if you are going to comp that Trevor Bauer is not going to have played for 3 fucking years. Like I am not a fan of Bauer, but I also don't. I think he's getting a little bit okey-doked. And this is the thing, right?
Did we talk about his suspension on the show?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember. It was like a while ago.
I have Bauer's tweet that he said.
Hit us with it.
So Matt Harvey admitted under oath in federal court to distributing drugs, a felony in California, among other illegal activities like taking drugs himself, in a case where a teammate died. Quote, 60 games. So.
Again, I agree with him, because when you really look at what the suspension or what the number is going to end up having been for Bauer, it's that the guy is going to have missed somewhere in the ballpark of 500 games.
Yes, collectively.
He's going to have a roughly 500 game suspension.
Yep.
For
something that he didn't even get to go to court for.
So listen, there's
a lot of
of smoke there.
Yes.
The guy was doing some ish that he probably shouldn't have been doing.
Yes, for sure.
There's a line between you enjoy rough, and there's a point where you enjoy beating people up who are weaker and frailer than you are. And his persona leads you to believe it's the latter and not the former.
Yeah.
And because of that, in the society we're in the moment where it happened, in a stars aligned situation, he got hoed. However, there's no way that Harvey should only get 60 games.
Yes, that is. It's definitely an unbalanced thing. I don't even think necessarily that Harvey should have gotten what Trevor Bauer got.
No, a year.
But I think a year would have been a lot more acceptable.
Can we also just talk about the fact that Pete Rose still is blackballed for just gambling?
Bro, again, I've talked about it in the past.
That's old news. I'm never going to revisit it.
And I say it all the time.
Or after he's gone.
Baseball is a game of cheating. And the sad thing is baseball is starting to become a game of lying. And the things around that become the problem. There's name a more seedy sport than baseball. Like of the main sports right now. Right?
Got nothing
football
for
is football seedier than baseball?
No.
It's close to some degree with
there's some things, yeah.
Guys taking shots in tents to do stuff. It was bad when it was concussions or causing guys to lose. For sure, there was some stuff there. But it wasn't because there also was just rampant cheating. Was there cheating? Yeah, the New England Patriots, right? Routinely were cheating. But this is multiple teams across the whole thing and landscape of stuff. Mm-hmm. Because you saw the guy from the Stros and Cashman chirping each other. Mm-hmm. Cashman, shut up, man.
You know you cheat.
You cheated, and you're trying to make it sound like, oh, you're making it sound like, oh, what we did and what you did is comparable. We didn't even get a problem. We just did a donation. It's like, bro, you're the reason why they got in trouble. Like, you were the guy who cheated first, but they didn't have this cheating rule, so they looked at you and went, there's nothing we didn't have this as a rule, so on a technicality, we're not going to hit you with something harder, but we're going to give you this. Then they were cheating the exact same way, and they got hit with some. Don't be that guy.
Yep.
Don't be that guy. But yeah, going back with Bauer. Bauer's at least getting paid though, right?
No, Bauer gets $0.
Does Bauer?
I thought he was getting paid.
I think Bauer's on a commissioner's exempt list. I think he is still entitled to 100%.
I am almost positive
money.
he is going. It is without pay.
I'm looking it up.
Dennis, come with the right.
Because I think the suspensions are definitely without pay. I think Bauer's getting paid.
He is not getting paid during the actual suspension.
There you go. So 2 full years.
So he got paid the entire time he was on administrative leave, but like his actual suspension that kicked in now for the 2 years, he's not getting paid for any of that.
Yep.
Ever?
No.
$0.
Like that money's wiped?
Yeah, he's gonna.
So he's a free agent.
He's gonna lose $60 million for that suspension.
Oh, I actually hate this.
You want him to be paid?
It's not a yes.
Okay.
Because you're now like not only just so if you suspend him, my thing is you got to hold his contract.
And it's player options that this year and the next year would be under. So does that mean?
No, I think it washes the contract.
Huh?
I
don't think it's allowed to wash the contract.
I think he can re-opt into the contract
Okay.
afterwards.
Cano's contract was that
Cano got pushed a year.
It just got pushed.
He got pushed a year.
Oh, I don't know.
That's why he's still like this year would have been him gone already if it wasn't for the him. Did he? No, he didn't opt out. But he just lost that year with the PED. Like
yeah.
And they like suspended him, and he was like separated.
But I don't know if PEDs might be different than whatever.
No,
I mean the suspensions could be different.
I doubt that was in. But that's my thing. I don't think that's. This seems awfully fishy. That you could just wax out a contract that he signed for $40 million a year because it helps the Dodgers. Like, genuinely, the Dodgers got the benefit of signing.
It's not getting pushed. It's dead.
It's dead, yeah.
That's nuts.
They suspended him the amount of time he had left under the contract.
Yeah.
So the contract's just going to end by the time he comes back. That's why it's huge that he's appealing it.
Yep.
Because if he appeals it, he might just be able
There's
to
no-
get some
Are you
money
on this
from it.
fan-sided article?
No.
There is no way in hell an independent arbitrator could ever allow that to happen. There is no precedent at all to void a contract for something where no illegal activity was done. Like, the guy's not going to jail. And he's going to use the Deshaun Watson decision as a perfect example of innocent until proven guilty. He is innocent because never proven guilty. You are suspending him for what you are claiming is conduct detrimental to whatever. What did Herman lose in time for beating the shit out of his wife in front of the other players on the Yankees?
I'll look it up.
Half the season?
So he lost half a season, and you're telling me we can justify that you're going to take 3 years of a guy's career off of his contract? There is no world where this happens. And then
Yeah, it's 81 games.
And if I probably am Trevor Bauer, I'm then going to sue MLB for probably $1 billion. I'm going to win.
That sounds way too coincidental that the Dodgers give him all this money and his suspension happens to be
Facts.
with the contract. That's on
Facts.
top of that.
No, 100%.
Facts.
That's
It
why.
was a way for the league to like do a wink wink. Like, that's collusion.
But the
that's
other
a
thing-
whole
The Dodgers wanted to be done with it.
assortment of things.
The other thing, too, is when the suspension ends, it's going to be a month into that season. So he can't even sign a free agent deal in the offseason that year. He has to wait during the season. So it's not like he's going to get anything
but
there.
nobody's like, oh, wow. Listen, I don't necessarily like Bauer and his principles of what he stands for.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have to go with, like, what our
Like
country
due
is based
process?
off of.
Yeah.
And that is freaking impossible. And if I'm him, genuinely, like, hearing this now, if I'm Bauer, I'm suing the league for $1 billion. Because I'm saying, like, there's no way for you guys have now like defamation of character. Like, look at the Johnny Depp case. Like,
Oh, yeah.
this is gonna unload on them. Like, this is gonna be bad for the league because you're setting a precedent that you have other people who have been guilty of doing something, and you did it because they were only making $8 million a year. The Dodgers were paying a guy the most expensive contract in baseball for a pitcher, and you bailed them out of a decision that was bad. Because what if he had pitched to a 2 ERA that year, if he had won the Cy Young the first year he had that contract, everybody would have been this. I don't even think this happens. Dodgers would be fighting tooth and nail for him. They'd go, whoa, you can't do that to our guy. He just got a 1.8 ERA. Like, he's the Cy Young winner back to back. Like, you can't get our guy gone. Like, this is wild. Like, I actually, this entire time, I underinformed horribly. I thought my man was on a commissioner's exempt list and was getting paid his dollars.
No, that was previous, like that whatever, like the administrative leave, like time.
So last year he got paid for.
Yes, yeah.
But then my point is that year so he got paid, that contract allowed it to accrue. But this, they're now suspending him without pay.
Yep.
No, sir.
And I think it's interesting too because the league's stance and suspensions for these things has been very fluid. Herman got 81 games. Ozuna got 20 games, and like he's back like playing. But I think he hit his wife or shot a gun near his wife. Like
Herman or who?
Marcell Ozuna.
Ozuna, okay.
Yeah.
Herman beat the ever-loving hell out of his wife at a Yankees event. The Yankees pulled him off of his wife.
Yeah.
We talked about this. Like, the dude was, and the players on the team were like, yo, he's going to have to earn a lot of trust. And there were guys who didn't even want him on the team anymore.
Absolutely.
Zach
Britton was very vocal.
I have the full list of every single domestic violence
Hit me.
in the
Go
MLB.
for it.
Hit me.
Do you want to go in chronological order from earliest to latest, or do you want to go from the most recent ones?
Let's use like within the last 2 years.
Last 2 years, there hasn't been any. There hasn't been that many in the last 2 years.
That's fine. Let's talk about it.
I'll go from 2016 on.
Cool.
So Aroldis Chapman in 2016, 30 games. Jose Reyes in 2016, 51 games. Hector Oliveira, 82 games. Yuris Familia, 15 games. Derek Norris in 2017, he was remainder of the season. I don't know how long that was. It was in September, so probably only like a dozen games or so, whatever. Stephen Wright in 2018, 15 games. Jose Torres, 100 games in 2018. Roberto Ozuna, 75 games. Addison Russell, 40 games. I don't know this guy's first name. Herrera for the Phillies in 2019 was 85 games.
Herrera.
Yeah, thank you. And then Julio Arias, 20 games. So it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we're noticing that it's never more than even half a season, really.
Yep.
The only other person that got a full season, it looks like, was Sam Dyson last year, who got 162 games, so a full year.
But he got 162 games. What was his crime?
I don't know.
Because again, I gotta unpack like.
That's why I wanted to see like what the other one.
Because if you were like found guilty, you went to jail, you did like Bauer really at this point in time like hit me. He did it, right?
Oh, it's bad. Suspended and sued by ex-girlfriend over claims of rape, battered, and she was raped, battered, and terrorized. And he ordered her to get an abortion and used racist, sexist slurs towards her and accused her of infidelity.
And was also violent towards their cat.
Which we hate that.
Hate that on the show,
towards
especially
cats.
on Donnie No Thumbs Day.
Yeah. So sure, that's probably a relatively comparable option.
And that's why for
And
me
that's
like
1 year. So, and that was last year.
Last year.
yeah.
Okay, so in the last 365 days, they've decided that they're going to up the ante.
No, not even just that, because if you're saying that he missed last year.
Or I don't.
He's now signed in the Mexican League. It looks like
No,
one wanted to sign him.
I'm more
Well, like, when
saying
was he
to you.
suspended?
I'm more
lost
saying
that.
to you, the Bauer thing happened first
I don't
because
know.
Bauer lost all of last year.
Right.
So that guy had it happen during last year's
Well,
season.
No.
He was a free
prior.
agent when the thing happened, so it looks like no team wanted to sign him with the investigation going on.
Okay.
And then they just suspended him for the full season beyond that.
And the Bauer
Gotcha.
news came out early last season, or was it 2 years ago?
He lost all of last season.
He played 17 games last year, Bauer.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Bauer
he-
played 17 games last year with the 2.59 ERA.
There you go. So it was.
And you wiped him.
Yeah.
But the year before he was a Dodger?
No, the year before he won the Cy Young.
In Cincinnati.
Okay.
Gotcha. No, we have the timeline.
So he lost half of last season plus.
Yep.
And now you're also giving him a 2-year suspension? Like, and he's not, like, was found, like, they dropped the charges. What are we doing?
So collectively, he'll lose 469 games across
Which we
3 years.
we go back in time, like, that's freaking nuts.
I guess in all reality, for me, I'll be comfortable with this suspension if the next person that gets in trouble for this gets the same thing.
No
I'll
shot.
that's what I'm saying. If it's not that way, like, I guess in the last 3 to 5 years, it has been trending up in games. Herman got 81. Like, there was Ozuna got what, 50? I remember Ozuna's thing. I think he was on the Astros
I
at
just
the time.
closed the page.
That's okay. But yeah, yes, it is.
The year, and here's the craziest thing, right? The year that Herman got dropped for all that stuff, right, was the 2020 season. So he wasn't able to do anything during that season because of all that stuff.
Okay.
In 2019, he went 18-4 for the Yankees as starting pitcher.
Yep.
And, like, last year he pitched, right? This year he's on the IL. He'll be back. He's on the 60-day IL. But he's on that team. I don't know how you jump that dramatically in terms of you also have a comp. You have another guy who had a domestic, like, abuse thing who got a year. How does Bowers justify for you 2.5 years?
Does it have to do with the fact that he's just a bigger name?
That's the thing.
Probably.
This is the
They
deal.
finally have their.
I know the league does not like Bauer.
Yep.
He has not been liked by people in baseball for a while.
He's the perfect person to swing the hammer on.
And he's getting this for a variety of other reasons, which, again, is not fair. We have legal systems and we have rules in place to govern ourselves. You don't just get to arbitrarily just start throwing around the gavel and banging people for whatever the heck you want. And again, I do not like Bauer and I disagree with a whole bunch of shit. But this is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, the dude got, like, live blackballed out of the league.
Mm-hmm.
And as the Johnny Depp case is unfolding, Johnny Depp got freaking body bagged by people. Body bagged by people. And then the info came out during this trial.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who's out of the body bag and alive and well? Johnny Depp.
Yep.
Guess who's going in the body bag? Amber Heard.
Dunzo.
But why? We took her
Yeah. It's
stuff
Yeah.
back in 2016. So Johnny Depp been living for the last 6 years, waiting for this moment to finally come to fruition, and he's going to come back and get everybody. Disney's they're gonna lose Star Wars. Johnny Depp says he wants Star Wars. He wants the whole thing for himself.
I would love that.
Taking it all over, taking it from them. They fired him from Pirates of the Caribbean, all these other shows they were supposed to do.
Tragic.
And they did it because of this.
Yep.
And it turns out it's fake.
It's fake news.
Ooh, my Lanta. We're doing this to Bauer right now.
Yep.
And I just think that's tough.
Is he like, this is the last thing on this? Is he gonna get like blackballed like?
Oh, he's done.
Like
He'll
Pete
never play.
Rose,
He'll
right?
never play
Yeah,
again.
100%.
He'll never play again. Which is my point of doing a suspension is cut him. Make the Dodgers cut him.
Well, they don't have to now. Well,
My
unless
point,
he wins the appeal. Yeah.
I can't imagine an independent arbitrator. They're going to look at
where
this.
does that appeal go to? Supreme
It
Court?
has to. No.
No,
I
it
think
goes
it's
to
going
the
to go to
league?
independent arbitration. No, I think an independent arbitrator has to decide on this just like everything else. they don't go to court
Like,
cases.
is his court case completely done? I'm not informed on this, so I don't know.
I think the charges were dropped.
Right, it's
were dropped.
completely, right?
The prosecutor dropped the case because there wasn't sufficient evidence.
Gotcha.
Now, again, that doesn't mean that he didn't do the things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm with you.
Just in a court
Too
sense.
much
Yeah,
uncertainty
yeah.
about what was going on.
Yep.
Too much stuff. Bang that dude for another year on top of the fact that you commissioners exempt listed him.
Mm-hmm.
At least then he got paid for last year. He misses a year. Then they're on the hook for him for one more year, right?
Yeah. But
And you got to pay him $40 million.
The Dodgers
Cut
don't
him.
want that, yeah.
I couldn't, but the Dodgers don't want that.
Yep.
So, like, my thing is that, like, this is just, seems fake. Seems all jacked up.
Yeah.
And I hate it. And I hate that I hate it because I don't like Trevor. But
Yeah.
I'm here for justice.
All right, moving along. Dennis Dietz. What time
Hot
is
cold,
it?
baby.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's start.
Well,
with-
I was thinking the Otani watch first, but sure, let's
Oh,
get
We're
it.
going hot cold. We're going hot cold.
Hot cold, hot
so,
cold.
Otani or hot cold?
Hot cold.
Hot cold, then Otani.
We hit Otani already.
We kind of did.
Yeah,
not all the
kind
way.
of.
We didn't all the way.
So Bryce Harper, he has a tear in his UCL, and he's been on a tear in May.
Look at that transition.
Bill
Woo!
has mentioned multiple times he has extreme highs and lows. We've all agreed on that, but
Yep.
he's batting .396 with a 1351 OPS with 6 home runs in the month of May. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
considering
it's
that
pretty
they've
good.
played the Mets, the Rangers, or whatever. The Mariners have been decent this year, and then the Dodgers and Padres are both good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Philly's not playing bad teams, and him and Gene Segura is another one, 385, 1073 OPS in May. They're doing great.
Yeah, so again, my problem with Bryce Harper is that he is treated like he is
Oh God.
a god player, and I don't think he necessarily is. But I have said repeatedly, his highs are as high as anybody's high.
Yep.
Right? He's a top 5 player at his height. The challenge is he can get as low as being a bottom 50 player, like in the not bottom 50 players. Around the 50th best player in the whole league.
Mm-hmm.
And that swing is just not, to me, an MVP quality guy. Like, Soto to me's floor is I'm the 20th best player in the league. And his peak is I'm the best player in the league.
Yep.
Harper could really just go and be like, I am a 770 OPS guy for a season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll show you a whole 700 OPS year. And then he'll do this where he just is lightning in a bottle and can do no wrong.
And this is the major part about the DH being universal is if he had this injury and it was last year, he wouldn't be playing during this time at all.
For
He'd
sure.
be on the bench because he can't throw.
Yep.
Thanks for allowing the National League to join the party.
Super convenient. Dietz, who else is hot?
Manuel Margot for Tampa Bay. In the month of May, he's batting .487, 1363 OPS with 3 home runs. I just got signed out of my Google Doc, so bear with
that.
me
Rough.
more. But if you guys want to talk about anything during that
Listen,
time.
we were talking about the AL East before, and the Rays are in second place right now, only 5.5 behind the Yankees. And here's something I want to talk about too while we're on the subject of just like games back in division. If you're already like 13 plus games back, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so I think
I know. Listen, baseball's a long season,
I think that you're not done,
but it's an ugly start.
but I think it comes back to what are the circumstances that got you there.
Mm-hmm.
If you are 13 games back of the Dodgers, you're done.
Yep.
Because it's not just a fact of you're not playing as well as them. It's that they're also so good.
Yes.
Right? Like I would say that Boston is done.
That's where my head's at. It's like in the AL East, if you're in the Sox or the Orioles 13 back, that's huge. Like in the way the Yankees have been playing, like sure they can cool off, but that's still you guys got to go on a tear to make that up.
To me, I think the Sox are done for the season.
It's not a good spot to be in.
Because it goes back to what we were talking about before. You're having to not just catch up to the Yankees. You're going to have to play the Rays and the Blue Jays, and I don't think that the Blue Jays have played their best baseball remotely yet.
No, definitely not.
So they've been bad, and they're 20-18.
Yep.
So like you're bad. You'd have to become not just good. You'd have to become the best team in baseball to show up.
Right.
Now,
you have to go 20-3 on a run type thing.
Right, and to me, I think the Yankees, the softer schedule has allowed them to climb to a lead.
Mm-hmm.
But as they get to the tougher schedule, they play the Rays a couple of times. They hate the way the Rays play baseball, so they'll get into that stuff.
Mm-hmm. This little upcoming stretch for them could be super interesting for the Yankees. Like, does it even out, and all of a sudden the division looks a little bit different. But yeah, Rays have been hot. Dennis, who's cold?
So I like to point out when I mention someone's hot and then they get really cold during that stretch, Cedric Mullins. He played the Yankees last week. He batted .207 with a .440 OPS.
Yikes.
A week after I said that he was hot. And then Manny Machado I threw in here because he's been getting a lot of love on the pod, and I just love to trigger Bill in some ways. He's batting .125 with a .347 OPS since the last podcast.
Yeah, again, rough stretch for the kid. Even with that, I think he's still rocking the best WAR in the league.
Also the best batting average in the league at a .353.
That just goes to show how good he's been.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure, because he was at almost 390 at one point in time, and he was flirting with, I'm going to have a 400 batting average season.
Yep.
Yeah, so again, I think this is the time where you're going to start to see separation because you're now getting to the point. Look, Mets might have just lost Scherzer for a while, right? They already have Tyler McGill with bicep tendonitis, got a start skipped, right? Jacob deGrom hasn't pitched a single pitch for this season.
Yep, we got an update on him as well this week.
You're in a mode right now where all of your team building and all of your depth and all of your things start to impact winning. Mm-hmm. And it comes down to who's healthy when, what's going to happen when, who's back, and those things can upset the entire division, right? If the Yankees lost Judge tomorrow, what do you think of their lineup?
Still pretty deep.
But I start to go, man,
different.
He provides a lot of protection for a lot of guys.
Absolutely.
Now, this guy's not as good. There's not as many RBI situations. There's not a lot of clutch hits with him coming up. That changes their dynamic, I think, more than a lot of other teams. Mm-hmm. Because when you have guys who are overachieving at some spots, you start looking at it and go, okay, well, how long is the overachievement going to last, right?
Yeah.
Because we talked about Rizzo. Rizzo was leading the league at home runs at one point in time, right? Where's he at now?
Still up there.
In his last 15 games, how many home runs does Anthony Rizzo have?
Anthony Rizzo's 5th right now at 10.
Which he's had 10 for a while.
And he was leading the league at 9. So, like, 3 weeks ago when we were talking about him leading the league at 9,
he has 1 home run in the month of May.
Right? So we're 19 days into May, and he's sitting on 1 home run, right? He's cooled off dramatically. Mm-hmm. So you look at that his home run total, and you start to say, okay, he had a crazy good April, but he's flattened out.
Yep.
Everything is going to kind of normalize. That's the game of baseball. Right? Guys who were cold become hot. Guys who are hot become cold. You start settling into a rough idea where your talent level lies. Occasionally, a guy has a freaky season and puts it all together and gets it going. But baseball is about, can you just show up? How many days can you show up and be the average of your best self?
Yep. And they got to keep trucking along and figuring it out. But it is good that the Mets, to just referencing the Scherzer injury, that we have talked about, the Mets have a pretty substantial depth at starting pitcher. So at some point,
Peter's tested right now.
It is being tested. McGill's down, DeGrom's down, which in his update for his injury is that he got another MRI. They said there is healing and he can get back to throwing within the next couple weeks. Depending on how that goes, I think will determine if he's back before the All-Star game or not. Hopefully, but also the way the Mets have been playing, assuming Scherzer stays healthy, I'm not in a rush to get him back.
Well, for me at this point, I think no matter what, Scherzer is at least going on the 10-day DL or IL. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's a world where Scherzer isn't going to miss his next start.
Yeah, because he's the kind of guy he is. He's not yanking himself from a game if it's nothing. So
you're now in a situation where Bassett pitches today, maybe, depending on weather, right? But Bassett pitches for you. You still got Taiwan, you got Carrasco, but then you're gonna have to. You were already doing a couple of relief games. Trevor Williams pitched.
So the reason Williams pitched is because Peterson had pitched 2 days earlier in AAA, so they didn't
Right.
have him. But he'll come back up.
Peterson's coming up. He'll be there.
And also the pickup they had, Adonis Medina. I don't know if you've seen him throw a little bit.
Adonis Medina looks good out of the bullpen. I
Right.
don't know if he's
but
a starter.
he is a starter.
I know,
So,
but I think he might be a
he's
guy
gonna-
who the Mets looked at as a bullpen piece.
yes, but I could see a world now that this is happening where he gets the opportunity, and then it's like, all right, do we have something with him or don't we?
So the guy who I actually think is an interesting case for the Mets, and I can't even say his name because I don't know how he pronounces it. Skapuki?
What?
So the Mets, Thomas Sapuki. I need
no idea who you're talking about.
exactly my point. So a couple of years ago, Mets drafted this guy in the 5th round, and he proceeded to be nasty and dirty in the minors. Then he tore his elbow and had to get TJ. Last year, he came back off of TJ.
Can you spell his last name for me?
His last name is spelled Skapuki.
I have the pronunciation guide open.
Thomas
I'm just trying to find him.
Zapuki. That's probably your best bet.
Sapuki.
It's Zapucky.
Sapuki?
Sure.
Okay, Thomas Sapuki. So Thomas Sapuki, right now for AAA, he is rocking a 3 ERA. His velocity is up to slightly above 96 miles an hour for the Mets.
From the left side.
He's actually been better than Peterson has been. When you look at all of his different underlying numbers, things like that, he looks like this is roughly sustainable. His strikeouts per 9 for the season are almost 13 strikeouts per 9 innings. That is a 25-year-old guy who, had he not gotten hurt and had the coronavirus year, he most likely would have already been a guy like McGill getting this shot. So the Mets have 3 25-year-old pitchers in McGill, Peterson, and Skapuki, who all can throw. So I think he might get a shot.
Okay.
Because you're going to have to.
I'm down.
You're going to have to.
I'm of the mind that the way that the Mets kind of have a little bit of cushion in the division, I'm not trying to rush anyone back from injury. And if we have guys who could be potentially studs on the mound, test them. Why not? There's going to be an opportunity for them. I'm not, as much as Trevor Williams is helpful, there's probably better options.
Dennis, what you got for us? I see you looking.
He's got a light bulb going.
I was just wondering if maybe they want to bring in the likes of star pitcher Albert Pujols.
So Pujols pitched.
Yes.
How'd that go, Dennis?
1 inning pitch, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 home runs. His ERA for his career is now 36.
Who was that against?
It was the.
Well, so this goes back to what we were talking about last time about do you like having position players pitch? I think if you're gonna do it, you have to have guys like practice a little bit. You gotta make.
Apparently, what happened with this one is Pujols just straight up looked at the manager. They were up big, and he's just like, "I'm gonna go pitch. I haven't done this yet." And the manager's just like,
He's
"Okay."
he's on his tour.
Yeah.
Like what? Heck yeah, do it. I think that's awesome.
I want to have a pitching line in the majors. I don't care how
Now
bad it is.
I saw some funny tweets regarding this because someone we talked about as being a potential Cy Young candidate had a worse line than Albert Pujols.
Is this Noah Syndergaard?
This is Noah Syndergaard slander.
I knew it was coming. Didn't Syndergaard let up 6 runs in 2/3 of an inning?
Pujols pitched against the Giants, by the way.
Giants, gotcha. Yes, it was 6 runs in.
But only 4 were earned.
Yes.
I tweeted about this. The only reason I know these stat lines.
Okay.
I was making fun of it
what
with
were
the
your-
Mincone Maniacs.
Yes, the Mincone Maniacs.
Shout out to the Mincone Maniacs.
Did you watch any of that start or see how it all went?
I didn't watch. It was too fast. By the time
facts.
By the time he was getting worked, he was pulled.
Yep.
I don't think anybody I know he got 2 guys out, but it was probably luck that they got out. He had a rough start.
Yeah. Is that gonna hurt his Cy Young chances? If you have a blow up game like that?
Yeah, I mean that permanently that's got to put like a half-run ERA on you for the whole season, right? Like,
I mean, it's a 3.6 right now, but
yeah,
that's
what I'm
it's
saying.
a full run.
So you're gonna,
Yeah.
but even I'm saying, even if he gets to the point that he gets to like a 3.2, he could be dominant for the rest of the year. It's gonna be hard for him to get below a 3 because of that start.
Yeah.
That's a lot of. I mean, he's lucky that it was only 4 earned, and not 6.
Yeah, it was a 1.2 plus on his ERA. He had a 2.45 going into that game.
Right. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, so maybe really across the remainder of the season, because we're a little more than a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, he's got 6
So
starts already.
that would add a quarter of that number to the rest of his year. So if you're looking at it, added 1.3, you said?
1.2.
It added 1.2, so
Yeah.
you're talking about 0.3 will add to his ERA. So even if he pitches the rest of the year at a 2.7 ERA, he'll finish with a 3
Yeah.
because of that one start.
Now, we've seen people with 3 ERAs win Cy Young.
Not in a long time.
No. And you know what I thought was interesting, too? Obviously, we're very insightful on this podcast. And you know whose stats have just been absolutely as average as it gets?
Who?
Robbie Ray.
If me and you were thinking the exact same person at the exact same time.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Robbie Ray, who
Yes,
we
sir.
had predicted would not repeat his Cy Young caliber, is at a 4.62 ERA with a 4.3 record, 50 Ks. Just not what you want to see out of your $150 million Cy Young pitcher.
Well, at the same time, though, you could talk about the fact that the guy who I said was a better replacement for him, Jose Barrios, is also sitting at a 4.83 ERA for the season and has not been much better. So
Yep.
ultimately, the question becomes, Robbie Ray signed for probably what he should have been signed for. Barrios signed for probably what he should have been signed for. Just having a bad start to the year.
Yeah.
Having a bad start to the year.
But I'm sure the Blue Jays are feeling pretty good because they did pick up Kevin Gausman, who has been shoving and continuing on his Cy Young caliber.
Wasn't Gausman somebody who, when we were talking about Mets last year, that was one of the guys I wanted to get?
Yes, absolutely. I was dying to have him.
And I was like, man, I'd love to have him.
And then we got Max Scherzer instead, so that's fine. But yeah, Kevin Gausman, 2.52 ERA. We talked about him on one of our hot segments 2 weeks ago, probably, is being on a tear, and he has continued. So I think the Blue Jays will figure it out. It really comes down to Barrios kind of zoning back in.
Another pitcher that I said I wanted?
What you got?
Wade Davis.
Yes, I do remember you saying that.
Wade Davis, and that was a bad call.
Mm-hmm.
Bad call. Has not been good.
Yeah.
Has not been good.
I had a question for you too, and this seemed like a good question for your mind. I have this Twitter account that I have notifications on for. It's called Would It Dong, and it's an automated home run tracker,
Okay.
and it'll give you. I like stumbled on it, and I think it's awesome. It's automated, so it'll give you who hit it versus what pitcher, what was the result, so home run, double, exit velo, launch angle, projected distance, and how many parks it would have left. And there, I think it was Pete Alonso, and I forget who the other person was, but they had the same launch angle, the same exit velo, and no, it wasn't Pete Alonso. It was in the same game. I forget who it is.
I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
I don't remember the players.
But it was two guys, same game, same launch angle, same exit velo, completely different distances.
It was like a huge difference,
Like
too.
one went 420, one went 360. How does that
One
happen?
was
Wind.
caught at the warning track, and the other one was caught like by a fan.
No, I'm pretty sure. I think it was in Arizona, so I'm pretty
Wind.
sure it was. There's a dome.
It's a dome.
That like just in math, assuming no wind, it should be the
Well,
same
so then
result, right?
the only thing I can think, genuinely, the only thing I can think is that it was an analytics error by the tracking.
Okay.
The
My
tracking
thought was
the tracking picked it up wrong.
would the pitch have anything to do with it?
No,
Like nothing, spin off the bat, nothing like
No.
that. Okay.
because if it exits the bat at the same velocity, at the same angle, to the exact same position, then the only thing that could do it, I would say, is that the tracking system got the velo wrong.
Okay. That because in a perfect world, if those are the same numbers, it should be the same result, right?
They should like reasonably.
roughly?
You'll
Yeah.
have so like.
Because I saw a lot of tweets like regarding this thing, like, oh, the balls are dead because there's no way that could happen.
Well, so that's also another thing that could happen is that like a slight variation each ball, because then you have drag, right? So like that's the things that like I would say is like if the seams are slightly more raised on one ball than on the other ball, it's going to increase its drag. That'll pull it down.
I've seen a lot of Pete Alonso hits have been like not leaving the yard that he's just absolutely
crushing.
Mashed. Like 108 exit velo, 350 feet.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all agree that the balls have been deaded for a little bit now.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, you got a guy like Judge hitting 14 home runs.
Right, exactly.
So are they just getting a better mix of balls?
Josh didn't want me to put that conspiracy out there.
Listen, it's possible. Like, yeah, I don't know the situation. But also, we talked about it either last episode or the one before that. They're now putting all the balls in the humidor. So is some people's humidor, is their ball getting a little too moist? Is that doing something? Like,
you just triggered so many people.
I know, I did that intentionally. I used that word on purpose. You know, are other balls drier? So now you're in a situation where they fly different.
Right.
I don't know. Right. Like I don't know the circumstances that surrounds the ball's design entirely. But yeah, there's a bunch of different reasons why. The other thing, if you it's not a computer, right? It's not a simulation. It's an actual flight.
Right.
So in that situation, you do have to deal with differences of everything, right? I could hit something the exact same way multiple times. They're not going to land identical spots, right? So there's some variation that's going to happen, even if that is. So there's a range of outcomes that could happen for a ball that's hit like that, right? It could go a little further. It could go a little less. But they should sit in a bubble and a window.
Right.
Then you start taking in ball differences, stuff like that. All of that stuff can start to play out. The other thing is it's fractional degrees, right? So if one person was a 33-degree launch angle and one other person was 33.9, that's the same, but it's also not. It's almost a full other degree of difference.
Right.
That can be why it doesn't go as far, right? It went higher than it went long. So there's so many different things that could play.
Right.
into
That's
it.
what I wanted to ask. I thought it was just like an interesting little like.
Yeah, I'd have
debate.
to look at it more to see what was going on. But
Right.
yeah, we also know the balls are fucked.
And last thing for this episode, big news. The Nationals put out that they would be willing to trade Juan Soto this year.
This offseason.
And I already saw that the question of San Diego, the Blue Jays being possible suitors.
Cool.
Are the Mets in the mix?
How
much?
I think that the hope for the Nationals is because of what they watched happen with Bryce. They couldn't do this again.
Yep.
If they do this again and Soto signs with the Mets, you would have your the last two great players that you drafted, grew, had become MVP guys, both signed with in-division rivals, and you got nothing for them. You got a draft pick. Wow. Right? They also saw the benefits of trading for Trey Turner, right? By trading him away, we brought in assets that we feel like, oh, man, these guys are performing really well in the minors. We got all the stuff. Like, this was a great deal. Let's move from our guys sooner than later, so let's trade Soto. I think their hope by trading Soto is he goes to a team that signs him to the big deal, and they can place him not in the division. So I would say if he does get traded, it'd be hard for the Mets to trade for him.
Yeah.
Because the Nationals will inherently ask for,
it's going to be like
everything you've ever had.
Your whole farm system.
Yeah.
That
We want
has
your
to be
top
the return.
We want your top 11 prospects and your next 11 first-round draft picks. We need to make sure that you're never good again. Like, whatever we can do to try to get around from this, like, there can't be. And then also he wants $50 million a year. Like,
Right. So good luck with that.
yeah. So he wants 10 years, $50 million. So cheers, Mazel Tov. Good luck with the future of your endeavors.
We'll take all your affordable prospects.
Yeah, we'll take everybody you have.
So you think that's an off-season thing, or you think that's a trade deadline?
Off-season. I think no team needs to trade for him at the trade deadline because he still has team control. So you're not going to get necessarily, unless you get an offer that like is too good to pass up during the season.
Because the Nationals are already in last place.
Right.
So,
I think you'd rather just wait till the offseason to have a long negotiation, really unpack this, think about where you want to go, what's going on. Because Soto, I think we talked about this a couple times. Next year is his last year.
Yep.
So, like, that's the last year of team control. Another team trading for him isn't just accepting this year's money. They're also then accepting that next year they have to pay him $22 million.
Right.
So, like, that might price out a team that would trade for a guy like that at the trade deadline because they're like, hey, we only have to pay him another $11 million. That doesn't matter for us. We'll win a championship and he can walk.
Right.
And we'll be fine with that. Everybody's like, are we going to go and be willing to pay at least $22 million in arbitration, let alone the fact that he wants a huge contract.
Right. And now it's not the same situation, but they did trade Max Scherzer and trade Turner last year at the trade deadline for a couple of solid prospects.
Right.
Which I still feel like they got hosed for a little bit. I feel like they could have gotten more for what those two guys ended up being.
Oh, man, I think
they got Josiah Gray, who's like fine, like a good prospect. Kybert Ruiz is a catcher, better prospect, but like even so, it's not. I don't think they're world altering. It's not Yadi Molina.
I think with young guys, it's always too early to tell.
But in the immediacy of like, hey, you still had Trey Turner for 2 more years. It's Max Scherzer.
Oh,
like,
I agree.
But
I agree. But they also, I said it last year. I think they did the trade because they don't have money. Last year, I think
they also said they might sell a team. So
last year, a lot of teams functioned with the fact that they got crushed during COVID because you don't know what these billionaires' businesses actually got plundered by not being able to have this or this or this. How many guys were making money in real estate? And what happens when for 9 months you can't evict a person who's in your building and you still can't evict some people who are living in places? So you haven't received any money in your $1 billion in real estate. You've only had to pay the bank. You haven't been paid by your people. Right? So who got their pockets run, by that circumstance? I think a lot more teams than people want to think is true. But I agree with you. I think they maybe could have gotten better, but also who gives the offer? I think they also wanted to do the right thing for Scherz.
Yeah.
I think they were like, hey, go win another title. Here's a chance. They were on the cusp of doing it. Right? Turner's potentially going to win one this year, the best team in baseball, not named Yankees. I think their schedule's been a little harder, but we'll see.
Yeah,
it's been an interesting year. Some things are starting to unfold. I think we'll have clarity by mid-June of what's going on. I think we're gonna have a wild trade deadline.
I think so too.
From what I'm
like
feeling.
last year's was epic. Don't get me wrong, but I think this year, just the way teams are shaping up, like I could see a possibility of like the Rockies being active at the trade deadline, which I definitely wouldn't have said last year. So like I don't know, could be interesting. Right? That'd be wild. Guys, comment where you think.
I got one more thing.
Oh, shoot!
We did not mention.
Yes.
Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina broke the major league mark with their 203rd victory as a starting battery. Are they both Hall of Famers?
Yadi, yes. Wainwright, no.
I think that's just a very impressive thing where you think of longevity of a pitcher and catcher working together that long.
For sure.
I just wanted to give that some sort of mention
Yeah,
on
for
the
sure.
show.
Love that.
Okay, Adam Wainwright, 17 years in the league, 3.35, 188 wins, career strikeouts. Where are they? 2,037. Where's Ks per nine? Ks per nine, 7.6. He has 1, 2, 3 All-Stars, no MVPs,
2 Gold Gloves.
2 Gold Gloves. He's a great player. Like had a nice long career, but I don't think he's
got some rings though too, right?
He got one in 2006.
Yep. What a World Series that was.
What's his career WAR?
Career WAR
45.7.
So Andy Pettit's career WAR is a 60.
There you go.
Right? So like that's my only thing if you're trying to look at stuff. Now I know that there is a performance enhancing drug component to a guy like Andy.
But even so, I wouldn't call these numbers like Hall of Fame.
He has a better career ERA than Andy Pettit.
Sure.
Andy's career ERA was 3.85.
I think he's in the Hall of really good.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that window.
I could see him being like a last year ballot guy, being everyone like voting him in as like, oh, the guy was just a great all around guy player.
I hate that though.
But like we've had this conversation.
I know. We
times.
talk about baseball's the worst.
Yeah, so
Well,
I could see that happening.
So here's the one thing I'll give to Wainwright, and I think that he's still getting to kind of stamp himself a little bit here, is that he right now is rocking a 3.15 ERA.
Yeah,
At 40.
And his last 2 years, 3.05 and 3.15. I don't think that I think he missed too much time during peak moments of his life. And he was never dominant enough for me
yeah, he's had a few.
to supersede that.
had
Like
a few
DeGrom's been so dominant that he's going to miss on some counting stats that he's going to make up for with pure dominance and being the best that there was.
Yep.
Wainwright, I don't think was ever the really the best pitcher in the league.
No, he's more of just a workhorse.
2010 was the last time he was maybe in the conversation for the best player in the league.
Came in second in Cy Young voting.
2.42 ERA,
Yeah.
20-11,
Gross.
230 innings pitched.
Yeah, I mean he had a stretch of 5 years where he had 30 plus starts. Like,
Yeah, again,
solid.
I think he's a super good player. Super good.
So
2018 only eight games, 2015 only 7 games, and he hasn't been really like a dominant pitcher since 2014. I don't know if I look at Wainwright as a Hall of Famer. But great question.
It is a
great
great question.
Hall of very good at least.
Hall of very good. So guys, comment where you think Juan Soto is going to land. Comment if you think Adam Wainwright is a Hall of Famer. And that's it.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Baseball lifestyle, it's my lifestyle.